Hey guys, Scourge McDuck SMD here, bringing you some more replay reviews of pubs I've played recently. I've been having a pretty rough time on the new patch, but I've tried to record some of the better games I've had. Also, if you would like to buy private coaching on Medify, the link can be found in the description. Or if you would like to support my team, we now have a merchandise store, and the link to that can also be found in the description. Okay, so in this game, I last picked Timbersaw carry. Pretty uncommon hero to be playing as a carry lately, but as I mentioned in some of my other recent videos on the new patch, I have been having a pretty rough time in some of my pubs, so I've decided to go for more of the experimental route lately, and honestly, it hasn't been that bad, the experimental route, but this was one of the games where I experimented with a safe lane Timbersaw. So the enemies had Hoodwink and Tree Ant Protector, two heroes that rely on trees to get their abilities off, and they had Axe and Luna, and that's the heroes I saw when I picked Timbersaw. So Axe is a strength hero that I'm going to be laning against. I used to play a lot of Timber safe lane in like 2017, so it's like, you know, way long ago, different patch by far. Lots of things have changed since then. But Axe is pretty decent against Timbersaw because his counter heal is pure damage. But he is a melee strength hero, so my Whirling Death is still pretty nice against him. But he's one of the better like offlaners to lane with Timber in a 1v1 matchup, I would say. He can also start cutting waves if he wants, so he doesn't even have to lane me necessarily. So we snag an extra rune here. We're playing aggressive. We're playing on the hill. So if they walk up, I can Q them and scare them off. I Q'd him. I walked into the trees, so my Q would do extra damage. If you don't know, it will deal bonus damage per tree destroyed. So I stood next to the trees when I used it. Cut the trees down for my support. Use my nuke to secure creep and harass the Axe and cut down some of the Hoodwink's trees. Aggroing back to my range creep. Pretty standard landing so far, using my Q to secure some creeps, taking a little bit of damage there. Have a stick, so I should be able to get my mana back. From the Whirling Death that I'm spamming though. They try to go on me, Q the Axe, so they can't commit. Just aggroing the lane back to, yeah, constantly drawing aggro on the enemies so my reactive armor stacks will stay up when I aggro the creeps. I guess I can go over Timbersaw changes since this is the new patch. They only changed the reactive armor and the gist of it, or I guess they changed the mana cost on this. They decreased it a little bit, I guess, or something, or maybe that's the Ags only, I really don't know. But the reactive armor is now kind of, it's pretty much just worse against creeps and better against, or like the same against heroes. So when a hero attacks you, it's the same, and when a creep attacks you, it's halved. Is my understanding at least. I guess I could be wrong, but that's what I believe. They got a bit of a pull. I went and tried to farm it, aggroing creeps so I can get stacks up, playing a little passive here, trying not to die. Able to live, keep using my Q. It also lowers the Axe's attack damage since you lose stat percentage. So it lowers his HP and his damage since he's losing strength. Yeah, this game was pretty weird. Is it my Dazzle's second death? Yeah, my Dazzle's just kind of walking into them and dying in my lane. And then eventually I'm just really strong, so they can't really lane me anymore. And they just start running around on Axe and Hoodwink and end up killing a lot of my team. But I get a lot of space from that, and I farm and then pressure the top lane, and eventually come and connect to fights, and it goes really well. But it was a really weird game. But so far my lane's going pretty well. I mean, it's pretty even though, and the Axe also has killed my support a few times. But I don't think I have bought much regen, and Axe probably has had to. But I mean, with the kills he's got, he's ahead anyways. Gonna try and pull this camp here. Got a few of the creeps. Yeah, my support kind of fed my lane and then abandoned me, but I have reactive armor, so I'm not too scared. I went for 2 points in my Q here, just because I'm against a melee strength hero, so having the lower cooldown and extra damage is nice for me spamming it. And obviously, having 2 points in this, as opposed to 1 point in this and 1 point in this, it'll cost less mana to do my damage. I don't have to use 2 abilities to deal damage, I can just use the 1. Yeah, so like I said, the Axe is a pretty decent matchup against the Timbersaw, so he starts to cut the wave. So I'm just farming efficiently. I'm just trying to aggro this. I missed a creep there, I guess, but I'm just trying to aggro the wave into the large camps and eventually maybe the small camps, so I can just get extra gold since he's cutting and he's probably farming these jungle camps here too, so he's going to be getting extra gold. So I want to be able to keep up by aggroing these into the large camps. Oh, and by my arcane boots. Yeah, I guess items I never really talked about. Just want to be strong early game on Timbersaw. So magic wand, because your damage is really high and your survivability is really high, so if heroes come to kill you, you want to make sure that you survive and are able to continually do your damage. So, I mean, at this point, Axe isn't really laning, so I don't need another point in reactive armor, so I just stuck at 3 and got a Timber Chain point. But yeah, so you just get a Bracer for some stats, and Soul Ring for stats, a Wand for stats and active, Arcane Boots. Buying a Yules this game because it's pretty good against Treant Protector. I can Yules myself if he ults me. It's also pretty good against Axe. If he blinks and calls someone, I can Yules the Axe, so he's not spinning and he's not dealing blade mail damage if he has it. But yeah, still just doing the same thing, cutting the waves, aggroing them over to the large camp, killing the wave in the large camp with my abilities. Pretty similar to Bristleback, to be honest, in that sense. Maybe that's why I like Bristleback so much. I used to play a lot of Timber carry, like I mentioned earlier in 2017. Yeah, just gonna come, shove the wave, try and keep reactive armor stacks up by looking at around the mini-map and clicking heroes. So right here you can see I looked bottom and clicked on the Void Spirit just to aggro. The melee creeps on my reactive armor stacks will stay up, so I can tank the wave and tank the tower and keep my creeps alive and deal damage. Since I'm not really showing up to any of these fights, I want to pressure this tower, so that's what I'm doing now. I'm cutting all the trees down so Treant Protector doesn't set up on me, and Hoodwink has to use his, what is it called, Acorn Shot to make a tree if he wants to try and bushwhack me. He won't be able to just have all these trees around. Yeah, but the Axe is kind of owning my team. Now it's pretty even, but I feel like the game's going pretty poorly so far for my team. And then, but I'm pressuring. They have a Treant Protector. Once again, when I used to play a lot of Timber, that was honestly, that hero can kind of go both ways. The living armor is extremely annoying since you normally like to chip towers on Timber, not fully commit to them. So you can't really do that against a Treant Protector. But I mean, he has no trees to play around, so that's pretty nice for you. And he's a melee strength hero that you can do a lot of damage to. So they're trying to kill my siege here, and I'm just trying to keep it alive to damage this tower and hopefully kill it is what I'm planning on. But yeah, they're really trying to kill my siege. The Axe came and I sort of zoned him off with my abilities, then this guy came and I'm trying to zone him off with my abilities, and I am able to dive him and kill him, so now I've gotten a kill. And the tower still dies, so that's something that to keep in mind if you play Timbersaw, especially in the mid lane. I used to have this happen a lot. If you have a good mid lane matchup on Timber, and you're pressuring with your 5-minute siege, make sure you don't over-dive them to zone them off the wave, because your siege might die to the tower, and then the tower just never dies, and you're just slowing down your game, and you're like pretty, like, it's really hard to get reactive armor stacks in the mid and late game, because the way team fights work, there's not really around creeps, and you're not really playing in creep waves. So Timbersaw is really important to have a good early game, because you can abuse your reactive armor when you're playing in waves. And BKBs and things like that will come out in the late game too, so your pure damage won't be able to go through that. So it's really important to have a strong early game, and taking towers helps you have a strong early game. So I took this tower now, and now I can pretty much leave the top lane and focus on pressuring other towers. So I come mid right away because that the enemies were pressuring, and my team is dying and having a rough game. And after I kill the wave, I see lots of heroes bottom, and I'm just connecting. I'm trying to fight now because I'm strong, and I've pretty much been AFK in the top lane, pressuring that tower. And now that I've taken it, I'm pretty free to leave that area and roam. So I connect to my team, and we're diving and fighting. I'm just using my abilities to deal damage. Not much explanation to be done on my ability usage, I feel. Focus the Treant, just because these heroes are fast, and I wasn't sure if I'd be able to catch them, but now I have my Yules, and I am able to chase on the Axe and catch him and get another kill here, and that's really nice. That was his godlike streak. I actually got 1,000 gold for that, which is pretty wild. So as you can see, right before I killed him, he was actually higher net worth than me, and he's going to lose gold on his death, and I'm going to gain a bunch. So I'm actually, let me see, actually, oh, I didn't get the kill, actually. That's wild, never mind. So there you have it, though. But I'm still ahead of him now, but not as much as I wish I was. My Dazzle got the kill somehow, which is pretty unfortunate, I would say. But I am still diving and looking for another kill. That guy TP's out with a juke, and my Yules was CD, so I couldn't kill him. Yeah, sometimes you want to buy a hood on Timbersaw to have lots of magic damage. In this game, I didn't feel like their magic damage warranted a hood, so I'm just going to buy Kaya Sange for the status resistance and the spell amplification mainly, and the mana cost reduction. Trying to show up to these fights. My team's just sort of constantly dying everywhere on the map. I use this guy so my support can deny the haste rune. He went in and tried to get the haste rune anyways. And I'm just focusing the axe. He's less maneuverable than the Void Spirit, and he's also a melee strength hero, so my damage is higher against him. Because the stat loss is going to be strength rather than intelligence. So he's losing HP when I use my Q, as well as taking damage. Diving this guy. Zoning him off the tower, taking the tower. Just running around and really pressuring the map pretty hard, even though this axe and this hoodwink had a really good game and were chasing around my team and killing them. As you can see, no one else on their team other than those two are really doing much. My bat's doing alright. My weaver's pretty useless. My doom's not that useful, but he's a doom, so he just doomed the Void Spirit and doomed the Void Spirit bot as well. Dove a bit too much here, probably gonna die here. Pretty bad death here. We actually get team wiped here, and like I said, Timbersaw will fall off when BKBs come out, and you're not able to play around reactive armor. So that's pretty bad. I ended up maxing my Q, just like I said, for the axe and the tree and protector mainly. I have my Kaya now though. Gonna push this wave in and try and connect and fight the enemy some more mid after it's pushed in. They're going top, so I'm going top. Just pushing lanes and running at the enemies. They're diving. We're able to doom the Luna here. He actually man fights for a while on Luna with his Morbid Mask or his Mask of Madness or whatever. But we kill him. Try and chase this guy down. He tries to TP out, but I have Yules. And he's out of jumps, so we kill him. That's a dieback because he just died mid as well. Axe goes aggressive as well, and I'm able to kill him because you just do a ton of damage. I'm highest net worth in the game now. Have my Kaya, Sange as well. Gonna buy a Lotus Orb just for another Dispel against the Treant Protector. And I guess the Axe is Battle Hunger and the Void Spirit once he gets Ags and can start silencing me with his E. Luna comes and tries to farm Ancients. I solo kill him with my damage. His BKB is not online yet because I guess he bought a Yasha and a Dragonlance, and I guess we've just been pressuring as well. But if he just went Mask of Madness BKB, maybe he could have had it by now. But BKB is 90-second cooldown, so we can still force it and play around the cooldown and pressure him while it's down, and try and kill him. So it wouldn't have even been that big of a deal. And since we're pressuring so heavily, his farm would also start to slow down if he just had a BKB. So running out heroes more, playing on the top side a lot because we're like pretty much an offlaner and we're really strong, really high net worth. So we just want to fight the enemies. We're not really trying to farm like an Anti-Mage or a Terrorblade or a PL or a PA or whatever. So they want to farm down near the Ancients. We just want to fight constantly. I guess we had big Ancient stacks that we could have farmed, but we're just trying to fight the enemies, and the enemies have a Luna who wants to be farming Ancients. So we're just sort of going where they want to be. Get a tier 2 against Treant Protector, pretty nice because they can't heal it now. Come down here and try to find the Luna. Oh yeah. So I saw that, I don't know what my Weaver's doing. He is an offlane Weaver and bought a Maelstrom. I have a Weaver offlane YouTube video. I do not believe you should buy a Maelstrom, but this guy did. But he's trying to solo kill their carry, and he ends up dying. So, and I see the Luna's really low, and I think I assumed that he had TP'd down there, and he has. So I'm just trying to cut him off and kill him. So I cut the trees down, hoping to hit him and kill him, but I didn't. And I see people going on me, so I just Lotus Orb to reflect whatever they're going to cast on me. Because I have Yules to purge if I get Treant ulted and things like that anyways. So I just went to Lotus Orb early, and it actually reflected the beam and got me the kill. So that was pretty lucky, I guess. But I ended up dying actually for it. So now you can tell I'm looking for Roche. I just want to Roche when I spawn. You can kind of help with Roche. Your pure damage does work on him. So yeah, I'm just looking at Roche, pinging it. Once I spawn, I want to look to go to Roche, but my teammates are getting picked off, so I'm trying to kill some enemies. I don't really want to Roche 3v5, so I'm trying to make it a 3v3 or whatever, I guess. My bat has not spawned and Axe is not dead, so it's 3v3. We can start to force the Roche. So we have Weaver bugs. He should have waited until Roche was hitting me before he used it, so the bug wouldn't die. but he didn't. So it's dead, so it's going to be a little bit slower. Looks like the enemy scanned us actually on the minimap. Didn't see that in the replay though. Or I mean in the live game obviously you can't see that. And yeah, Voidspear tried to steal and was not able to and died. We saw this guy here as I cut down all the trees and killed him as well. So yeah, we have a big lead. I can buy Shard to help me siege a bit. The flamethrower works on buildings a bit. I'm not sure if it's that useful for pushing, but I don't think I need it. I'm just tanking for my creeps, so my creeps can damage the tower. And so I have reactive armor stacks when the fight breaks out. And we're just high grounding and looking down the game. So yeah, my team had a pretty rough early game, and I connected to, or I didn't really connect to anything, honestly. I started forcing our own fights, so I just started running around the map looking for fights and starting fights myself. And we got a lot of kills on the Axe and the Luna. And with the Doombringer dooming the Void Spirit, we killed him a few times too. And yeah, we just played really fast in their phase Dota, and the Luna was never really able to farm and get items and be able to fight us. And yeah, I mean the lane wasn't the greatest. I mean, like I mentioned, Axe is okay against Timber because of the reasons I've already mentioned. But my Dazzle kind of messed up the lane really hard, I would say. He just sort of died a few times and then left and never came back. But after that, I was still able to kind of pressure the lane. And especially once the Axe and the Hoodwink started roaming, I was able to pressure that tower, and they tried to come and kill me, and I killed the tree ant. And yeah, I never really talked about talents. I mentioned the skill build. You just skill your ult whenever, and the other abilities can honestly be swapped around. Like I think I've seen Amar leave reactive at 1 sometimes if he just wants damage. I've seen some people do other builds too with low points and reactive where they tell their supports to stack the Ancients, and they will go and just farm stacks with high points in their other abilities. The talent, you can just take mana regen. You can get it at 10. In this game I chose to get it later because I just wanted more damage, I guess, and wasn't having mana issues. Spell amp, reactive with the nerf definitely makes it less good to have the 15 talent on the left, but also, yeah, late game you don't really have the opportunity to get reactive armor stacks in fights too often, so the spell amplification I think is just better. For 20, the Chakram slow, I don't know. Normally your heroes will like stun the enemies and then you can use your abilities. The slow doesn't seem that important to me, and the HP you get from the strength just seems more valuable. And level 25, I think it depends. Normally you want the cast range in my opinion, but if you're against a lot of like strength heroes or even agi heroes who do a lot of damage, you can consider getting the Whirling Death attribute reduction. But yeah, item wise, I mean Lotus is just good. Gives you armor, like I said, you don't always have reactive armor stacks, so having some armor to start with is pretty nice. And most of the itemization on Timber are just items that give you mana, dispels, survivability, so you have status resistance from the Kaya Sange. It also gives you mana as well. And Shiva's, once again, armor, more magic damage, more mana, and you get the slow and things like that. So you don't really need the Chakram slow when you have the Shiva's Guard as well. And you get the regeneration and lifesteal reduction. So pretty standard stuff. Yeah, the enemies had a good early game, and then I started pressuring and we took a lot of good fights and won the game.